I had to watch my brother before my mom got home from work, and I used to bank on him not eating his food. Like the chicken nuggets, Kid Cuisine meals, whatever he had. I was just banking on him to not, because all he wanted to do was eat the damn sweets, and I'm like, I don't want that old overburnt fucking microwave brownie. Let me get that macaroni cheese, but he would always put the brownie mix in the damn macaroni, man. That shit used to piss me off.
Roll me, Mac.
What are your fondest memories growing up in your parents' house? Well, let's go back to the beginning. So August of 1995. All right, so it's me, it's my mom, it's my Aunt Christy, it's my cousins Tony and Christoria, which is my Aunt Christy's kids. It is my little brother, it is my cousins Brandon and Micah, and we move in, and you still got that new house smell. And it was, I just remember something being new. You know how it is when something's new, you try not to fuck shit up, but I remember walking around the neighborhood, and I met a couple kids outside about my age and a little bit older. It was Rob. Rob lived across the street. Rob had 3 dogs. They chased me one night coming home from from being outside and shit. Those 3 dogs chased me down the street. Everybody in the neighborhood knew that I could say mama. That's all I'm saying. And I screamed mom, mama, everything, screaming while those dogs were chasing me on my 21 speed right there. But also the Morgans, I met the Morgan family, Tony, Chris, Aaron, all of them, you know what I mean? It was cool, they were cool. They embraced me, a lot of times when I couldn't get in the house or something like that. I think even Miss Tirsa, I think their mother watched my brother a few times too. Just to help out, just being neighborly and all that stuff. But growing up, I remember playing basketball in the driveway, and but signed up for Birdsong Recreational as a 5th grader. And a lot of the people that, you know, I would know in high school, we were on the same basketball team. So that was kind of cool, just to have that history of everybody's game between 5th grade getting up to, you know, like high school and playing JV or varsity, whichever one that is. But fondest memories, I'd say dinners. I remember we would always watch UPN together. You know, my dad would make dinner, and then he'd kind of go in the living room, and then it would be me and my brother and my mom, and we would watch UPN. So if that was Just Moesha, if that was Homeboys in Outer Space, if that was The Parkers, if that was One on One, if that was, you know what I'm saying, like all the black UPN shows that used to come on, we would watch those all the time. What is the church joint, man? I forget the name of the church UPN show, but that used to be life, you know what I'm saying? It used to be life. It just to hang around. I would see my mom go through cutting coupons, and we would have dinner, and sometimes just say lines from movies, really. Anything Eddie Murphy, you know, I was auditioning, if you will, trying to be validated. A lot of doing impersonations of the Clumps, a lot of teasing my brother, being a big brother to a little brother type thing. Looking back at it now, it's bullying, you know, but back then you don't know any better. You're doing what was done to you, or what you saw on TV and all that stuff. But fondest memories, being able to listen to like vinyl, trying to listen to vinyl. I didn't really know how to handle the needle. But I just wanted to hear New Edition's album, just New Edition, the one with Got Cool It Now and Mr. Telephone Man on it. We had it on, my cousin had it on tape growing up. So I was like, man, I gotta find a way to one, record this and put it on tape for myself so I can take it upstairs without my dad knowing. So, you know, I get home from school and that was what I would do. You know, I would avoid doing homework. I'd probably look and see what music videos would be on, like Cedar's World or 106 or whatever the music video show was at that time on BET, and then I would just, you know, I would go through the vinyl and try to play them. But to me it just seemed like too much work at the time. You know, I wasn't a purist yet, but it seemed like a lot of work. But I really wanted to hear all the New Edition stuff, because I still am, but I was very much obsessed with New Edition and The Boys and Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. So I wanted anything that they had, I wanted to hear it. But I would do that. I remember when we used to watch my uncle's Dalmatian. Lady was her name. Her name was Lady. And we were watching Lady, and Lady was fierce, yo. She was a fierce Dalmatian, and I used to try to walk her around the house, and this bitch tried to bite me. So I'm up there freaking out, you know, dealing with this dog trying to bite me and trying to get her to use the bathroom and all this stuff. But eventually my uncle came and got her. But yeah, Lady was a motherfucker, man. Not gonna lie, Lady was a motherfucker. I have a very fond memory of hearing my dad yell to me that wrestling on. You know what I mean? That was like a thing. There used to be a thing. Or how my dad could whistle with his teeth and shit. I don't know how to do it, but he knows how to do it. It sounds like "feel weak" or whatever. If music was too loud in my room, if my mom was calling me and I didn't hear, he would do that, and then that would essentially get my attention, or hear his, I would say deep voice, try to get my attention, and then I, come running or whatnot. Fondest memory growing up, trying to extend staying up by talking to, just saying funny stuff to my mom in her room before going to bed, and just making jokes with my brother. I mean, yeah, really that, just a lot of saying lines, singing songs from movies that we don't watch, cartoons or comedy movies and stuff like that. Commonly the Clumps 1 and Clumps 2, and then just like the Jungle Book. That was like me and my brother's thing. That, the Prince of Egypt. I say, like, when the family would come to visit, when the Maryland family would come. I remember this one Thanksgiving. I believe it was when I was in 6th or 7th grade. But from what I can remember, that was the first time I had both of my grandmothers in the same house, man. My mom's mom, my dad's mom. So food-wise, it was on and popping. I would have the style that my grandma would have from North Carolina, that their country style. I would have the style that my grandma Sarah would have from Salisbury, their country style. Scrapple everywhere. Pork jows. The dribbly gravy on the dressing. The turkey, the ham, all that, everything, and then to be able to sit there with my grandma while she cut the ham and eat the fat. I used to live for that, whether that was whether we were in Salisbury for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or whether we was in, she came to visit us in Virginia. I wanted to be the one to fuck up nothing but fat. I didn't care really much about the ham, but ham fat is something that I would wait. I would wait to get my piece, like a huge that fat back, and the back of the ham fat back. Try saying that 5 times. That's what I would wait to get. But that was the Thanksgiving. My grandma taught me how to spin a ball on my hand, my dad's mom. And she was one hell of an athlete, you know what I'm saying? Probably still bust it down right now at 90. But I just remember, like I said, just everybody being there. I remember fondest memories. I remember when my boys would come through when we were like in 11th and 12th grade, and it'd be me, Shad, Joe, and we would go and get Wendy's and Jermaine too. I had to include Jermaine too. But we would go and get Wendy's and we would bring it back to the house, or we would get Wendy's first and then come back to my crib, or go to Rashad's house and just play video games and try to scheme on girls and stuff like that. Growing up, I do remember. I remember sneaking a lot of young ladies into the house, and starting in middle school. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember high school too. I remember I used to have my parents' schedule down pat, and then just trying to work around that. And then once we got to high school, it was more like because we had after school activities and stuff. So for a long time, I think I was lying to my parents that I had something going on after school, and really I was coming to the house and trying to do stuff. Yeah, snitching on myself. What does it matter now? I mean, I'll take my punishment, whatever it is. I remember just sitting in my room, I would have whatever album playing that was, I would have like It's Dark as Hell is Hot, It's Dark and Hell is Hot DMX album playing, and then I would be playing PlayStation 1, my little bro CJ, from down the street. That's T-Dot's brother. We would just game and joke all day, honestly. Even Gus too, you know what I'm saying? Me and Gus would come by the house and we would game, or I think we even tried to rap or sing, whatever it was. We was always scheming on scheming on the girls in the neighborhood to some degree, and it wasn't much success. I'll be honest with you. That's the funny part. It wasn't really much success with that. It was just something to do. It's just being young boys, and that's all that was going on in our neighborhood. It just seems to be that way. And what other memories growing up in that house? I remember coming downstairs. Yeah, I remember coming downstairs after school. I come down, I come in the house, put down book bag, go in the refrigerator, go upstairs, drop the book bag off, come downstairs and think like something would just reappear. Ain't nobody been here but you, but for whatever reason, you just keep opening the refrigerator trying to find something. I remember coming home and I remember those summers where I had to watch my brother before my mom got home from work, and I used to bank on him not eating his food. Like the chicken nuggets, Kid Cuisine meals. whatever he had, I was just banking on him to not, because all he wanted to do was eat the damn sweets. And I'm like, I don't want that old overburnt fucking microwave brownie. Let me get that macaroni cheese. But he would always put the brownie mix in the damn macaroni, man. That shit used to piss me off. The chicken nuggets, what else was in it, man? It's like a chicken nugget one. I think it was a hot dog. There was a like a little slider joint, something like that. But I used to like them Hungry Man dinners. Yeah, the Hungry Man, the banquet chicken joints. Yeah, I don't know, the breading on that's another fond memory I remember growing up, was the breading that would be inside like those microwavable chicken dinners that would come with the potatoes, the corn, and then it'd be like a wing, a crooked ass wing, and a drumstick. And like the way that microwave would hit that breading, you know, it would be just as soft. Sometimes I would just eat the breading by itself, and I ended up overcooking the chicken part. But that breading though, the breading on that chicken used to be fire. Like really used to be fire, man. I remember having to watch it. Yes, that's it. Yes, that used to be music time for me. When I would have to wash dishes, I used to hate washing dishes initially, and then I looked forward to it because I would bring my boombox from upstairs, you know, and I would play whatever was current at the time, you know. So like when Aaliyah came out, 1 in a Million, my uncle left the tape, so I would just play 1 in a Million album while I was washing, while I'd be washing dishes. Or I would make mixtapes off the radio. That's another fond memory, growing up in the house and waiting for Z104 and 103 Jams to do. Z104 had the top 5, the top something at 9. Their countdown thing, or the favorite tracks was at 9, and then 103 Jams would have like the top 8 at 8, I think is what that was. So that's how I would get like the mix and whatnot. Getting music back then, I used to hate when the DJ would, the radio guy or whatever, the radio DJ, the disc jockey, when he would cut off the song like before the end of the chorus when the song was over, and it would be like, all right, fine, so we gotta switch to something else. But that's the days, man. We used to have tapes. No MP3s, none of that. No iPods, none of that. You had to wait for your records to come on the radio, and then you clip that, you know, and then, you know, hopefully you'll be able to sing it, know the lyrics when you go back to school the next day. I can remember seeing my mom put the tree up, like commonly the second week of December. She would put the tree up, and it used to have a train joint. And there used to be these songs that used to be on the tree. Christmas songs, of course. And she would always be like, we would always watch like that Martin episode, any of them, like mainly the one with the where they get robbed at the station. Yeah, when they get robbed at the studio or whatnot, by Brother Claus. And she would do that, or she would watch Christmas Vacation. And I just remember my dad would be like making something Christmas related in the kitchen, whether that be some form of eggnog or cookies or, you know, something like that. There was a point in time where holidays felt like holidays there. And then after a while, it just, I don't know if it because you learn how Santa Claus isn't real, but that feeling of Christmas, it started to go away. You know, still miss time and holidays with the family, of course, when it was simpler times and, you know, before you didn't know a lot of things. But there is a feeling, and I'm sure that for those that have had it or still have it, you know what I'm talking about, where you have this feeling around the holidays, man, with your family. And it feels good. You're anticipating what Santa brought, even if, you know, obviously, you know, Santa's not real, but the allure of Christmas is there, and it just feels like Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like walking around, like how we used to walk around Chesapeake Square Mall, and trying to figure out or having the Sears or the JCPenney's catalog, and then saying like, out circling shit, talking about what you were gonna get for Christmas that year. And it was just a feeling, you know. It really was just a feeling. And I can recall being woken up to take showers because I would just come in from outside and I would smell like beer outside, sweat. I'm walking everywhere because I wanted to get. I got to a point where I was too cool to ride my 21 speed around the neighborhood just in case some girls was. It's hard to walk with girls when you on your bike. They're just trying to talk to them. You know. So anyway, what you gonna do this weekend? Type thing. So it was about being cool. So I started to walk the neighborhood just like I would see my cousin do. You know, like whenever he would just leave in Salisbury and just walk. He walked the city, and I wanted to do the same thing. You know, I thought that would make me cool, and I would see like my friends from, around the neighborhood, they would be doing that too. So we started doing that. We started walking around, and just trying to, like, again, just scheme after girls and stuff like that until we got cars. Yeah, this was some simple, like very simpler times, man, growing up there, and in the house, just seeing what would be for dinner. Like I remember when we first moved to Virginia, that was the first time I had Papa John's. I don't think we had Papa John's in Maryland at all. I think whenever we would get pizza, it'd either be Domino's or Pizza Hut. But I remember Fridays, if Mom was out of town, me and Pop would go to Blockbuster. And so, I would get the games, he would get whatever movie was going on at the time. I remember that one time he bought Players Club, and Players Club was, showing titties and ass and shit. And Mom was like, Mom was gone, so like, don't tell your mom. Like, all right, so I watched it. And, it's just because it was funny too, because, of like who else was in the movie. And just wanting to, keep up with the Joneses of what was going on. But yeah, having those, going to Blockbuster with Pop on a Friday. Obviously, we take it back on a Sunday. Watch whatever was popular at the time it came out. Players Club, Money Talks, Nothing to Lose. Though, just that's 90. Around about 97. And what else would we do, man? Like coming down, figuring out what was going to be for dinner. Like the common things that we would have for dinner growing up. Sometimes it would be yak, sometimes it would be spaghetti, sometimes it would be tacos for sure. Sometimes it would be a meat. Like Sunday dinners usually consisted of like ribs or meatloaf or baked chicken or fried chicken too. Sometimes shrimp, and then be like fish sticks sometimes, or like fried, fish fillets and stuff like that. There were, it was just a lot of things I just remember. I remember my mom would have my dad smoking. She didn't want to smoke in the house, so she would have him smoke in the laundry room. And I remember having to go in there and ask him to do something, and he'd be in there just really just. I understand it now why he would do that. He was trying to manage everything that was going on with life, and just having that piece of being in there, smoking a square, you know what I'm saying? And I would just have to go in there and act like, Mom, I want you to come upstairs for something, or, whatever it is. And learning how to wash clothes, and just having to vacuum floors, having to look after the house before Mom got home, coming home from being outside in the summer and seeing a note on your door about cleaning up this room and trying to stuff everything under the bed, not cleaning it, just throwing everything under the bed, having to be on punishment, right? Being on punishment from you're not able to play any video games. So what that means is Mom will get home about 5 o'clock. So I got from 2:30 when I get to the house to play Game Day 98 or Crash Bandicoot, Jet Moto, whatever the game was at the time, until about 5 o'clock and act like I was studying. But and then when my brother get home, just sit there, get him together, more than likely watch whatever cartoon on Disney, like the Disney Channel, Nick Jr., like the Nick in the Afternoon stuff, or music videos. And that's what I would do. I think that, definitely influence on him about that, because it was a constant concert when it was just me and my brother inside that house. That's a lot of fond memories I do remember in the house, is just singing. I would play Roller Coaster Tycoon and sing with my brother. He had Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then I took over. I took over that because that shit was funny. There was this Captain Crunch game we had one time. It came in the box. It came in the cereal box, but you could play like Captain Crunch on the computer. It was like a red disc or some shit. And yeah, we used to play that too. But just really just being funny, honestly. It's just a bunch of comedy, just sitting in his, when he got a Nintendo 64, I was right in his room because I wanted to play all the wrestling games and stuff like that. But it just chill. Him and next door neighbor kid about the same age as him used to play Pokemon Stadium. They used to trade Pokemon cards and stuff. But there's a lot of memories I remember growing up. I used to love whenever my cousin Tony would come visit for the summer, because I always had somebody to play with. My brother didn't really want to do video games like I did, but Tony, he was a really, really big video game head, and just loved to play, and it was good. Like, how you play with somebody that's so many years younger than you, and you try to pull the controller and let them think you playing. Oh no, nah, he's 5-6 years old. He's busting your ass, and sore loser though. He would, oh my God, he would throw so many tantrums, so many fits when he would lose, man. It used to be funny to us, but yeah, those are a lot of the fond memories I remember growing up in the house with my folks. Your favorite part of a great conversation? My favorite part of a great conversation is hearing information that I've never heard before, even if we're talking about the same subject, like something I've talked about before, but hearing it in a different perspective and in ways that I did not gather it before. But being able to listen to people and see how they think, and not coming in it with my cup full, like, nope, you're wrong type thing. And so when I listen to people and just seeing how their mind works, how they believe things are, it's an adventure. It really is. It truly is an adventure to listen to people in conversation that come with sense, though. I ain't with the just talking bullshit. Like, if you're just trying to be funny or something like that, but there's time and place for that. But like, if you're in a, like, for real, like a healthy conversation, a healthy debate with some people, I love listening to different perspectives and then being able to bounce questions off of that so that I can learn something for that. Also, sharing something, I'm sharing my perspective in a way that they get it. And I share something and then they hear it in a way that they didn't see it before. So, I love that about a great conversation. It's especially like what's really good for me a lot of times is when let's say I've talked to somebody from back home and we get on the subject of like storylines from like middle school and high school. And it means nothing now, but to learn like, oh, I did not realize that, y'all was together. I didn't realize that y'all was, y'all used to talk. I didn't realize that you were friends with that person. I didn't even realize you ain't like her, like those things. And just being able to laugh at it and be like, we were kids. What do we know? But it's so solid when you just are able to feed off of each other in a conversation where the conversation goes on for hours on end. I say this, almost every time that me and my best friend T-Dot have a conversation, it is something remarkable. It could be recorded each time, obviously privacy for some of the things that are being said, but like the energy that comes off of that conversation, in which we are like in tune with one another. We have such an alignment when it comes to conversation and the experiences that we've had from childhood even to now. And even, like I said, even till now, like where we are in our life, it's amazing to see the growth that we both have shared, we both have had, and still going through it, and I've seen so many changes that the both of us have well, being able to experience. So it's really cool to have like someone that just gets you, in a sense of like I'm talking about from like when you were kids till now, and it's been around that long to remember when you used to do this thing, and now just watch your maturation as a man and as a woman, to where we are right now. But loving about a great conversation is like a really solid debate. A really solid debate when somebody makes like a bold statement, and then being able to ask questions off of that. And it's not personal, it's not like I want to fight you over this debate. It's literally just a healthy debate. I've been fortunate to be a part of a few conversations that have left me like I feel stronger mentally after having these conversations. So, it was one time where we were celebrating one of my close friends' 40th, and it's a gang of us. They all came from Memphis. We met in Destin, and we're having this conversation. And I'm talking about it went on for hours. Like there was, and we ended up recording a podcast later on. Buddha and Kells, you've been able to check that one out. I might even put the link inside of this episode. But the conversation we were having, talking about masculinity, femininity, manhood, talking about growing up black, talking about how black men are with black women, and all these different avenues that we're able to speak from. And as far as men leading and women not allowing men to lead, and it just you had contrast of opinions, but there was also that mutual understanding of where they came from, and essentially like why some black women feel exhausted with dating and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Feeling like the pressure's all on them, and not feeling protected. All these different things. The conversations that come up, and we were able to speak from those. We talked about music. We talked about how we are presented in the media. We just like when you get people that can actually expound on their thoughts and not just try to be funny. Like I'm just really having a conversation of trying to be understood and understand the other person. I mean, those are some of the dopest parts of having like a great conversation for me. That's something I live for. I prefer, don't get me wrong, I love the tribe that I have, but I love talking to strangers, and strangers that know how to essentially hold a conversation with you. Waiting for the plane, waiting for your plane to arrive when you're sitting at the airport and stuff like that, and somehow or another somebody sees you reading a book, and then that conversation spans off of the book you're reading, or just something flashes on the TV, and you can never have enough mature conversations about Donald Trump, when it comes across comes across the screen, and just conversation, being able, that feeling of connecting without expecting anything in return. Nothing like that. That is one of the greatest feelings ever, to have a conversation with someone and they don't want anything from you. They don't want anything from you. They just want to be in the present moment with you and have that conversation, and then they go on about their business. A couple of conversations. Another thing I love about a great conversation is when somebody has like preconceived ideas about you, for the simple of your race or your gender, and then they can admit that they were essentially wrong about you. That's another thing, to have conversations with people from different backgrounds, and then for them to be like, man, I really never looked at it like that, and stuff like that. So it was, I enjoy having conversations with people that I don't know. Interesting enough, I don't like people, but I love a great conversation, though. That's one thing I can say. And what I mean by I don't like people, like I'm okay with just being to myself. I'm okay with just having some easy listening music, something to drink, something to eat, and something to watch, or a book to read, and I'm okay with life. I don't have to be in the party. I mean, I can appreciate the party, I can appreciate being around people, but it's not required for me as much as it once was. Like feeling like I was left out, or FOMO or what have you. Now I'm okay with like being just being to myself. I'm good in my own company. That's how I like to look at it. But love a great conversation and a great conversationalist, somebody that actually allows people to speak. That's my thing. If we're in a debate, I don't want to cut you off. I want to listen to what you have to say so that I can, retain what you're about to say to me, and then I'm going to give that back to you with my own perspective and opinion on the topic. I've seen that of where you have one person that kind of talks over that person while they're talking, not allowing them to make their point. It's almost as if they're going to say something to discredit what their point is. And but it's at the same time, it's it's fun. But if it gets too excessive, then it kind of kills the conversation itself. But being able to just listen, we can be excited, right? I know for sure I'm the first to admit that I get excited in a great conversation, and sometimes I'll tend to talk over the person because I'm starting to listen to reply versus listening to understand. But being able to hone in that excitement so that you can just listen to what the person has to say, you'd be surprised what you can hear, what you can gather from it. I love a good conversation, man. Where it can go from just about anything. We can talk about life, we talk about growing up, we talk about sports. I don't have much attachment to sports though. Like, I mean, if you say something negative about the 49ers, the Bulls, the Florida Panthers, the Miami Hurricanes, the Miami Marlins, all my teams, if you were to say anything about them, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not leaving your house because you said something, you talked down about my team and how bad they lose. And it's not that deep, it's not that deep. It's just, it's only sports, no attachment to it. But to get in a good sports debate, you can always love hearing like some of the interesting debates that come about when you have kids that are fairly younger, whether that be teens or they're in their 20s, and how they feel about LeBron compared to that of us who grew up with, who saw Michael Jordan play, and then for hearing them say that LeBron is better than Michael. It's fun. It's a fun thing. And same for music too, like debating music, debating hip hop, debating the hip hop of today versus the hip hop that we grew up with, and even the ones that our aunties and uncles, they that were the aunties and uncles that were like 10 years, 15 years older than you, that had that more of that Eric B, Rakim, LL Cool J, Run DMC, their time frame, compared to us who had the Rough Riders, the Rockefeller, Master P. Yeah, so like back when those guys were kicking it, or even Cash Money with Big Timers and Hot Boys, Juvenile, Wayne, all of that, like to getting those conversations and just hearing different things. I can tell you that me and one of my best friends, Pablo, got into back when I was attached to artists and music and entertainment. One time at work, we got into a heated debate, and don't laugh too hard. We were battling. I was messing with him. It started off initially messing with him, and then somehow it got serious, but still playful at the same time. We were talking about who would out rap who between Lil Bow Wow and Lil Romeo. It got out of hand, just being just dumb between the two of us. And but we laugh about it to this day. But like just those type of debates, just being able to talk with somebody that understands the music and can go back and forth with it. Like people that debate whether DMX was better than Jay-Z, or Kanye, is he the best rapper, producer, all these different things that come up. But you just love being able to listen to other people and how they feel about certain topics without taking it personal, and not having somebody in there that's out to make everybody feel like they're not important. like their opinion doesn't matter, but to be able to continue the conversation amongst grown people, and we just, you know, go from person to person, adding different pieces, and you know, it's just a great conversation. So many things I love about a great conversation, but really just that being able to learn something, being able to hear a perspective on something that you hadn't thought of before. Game shows did you want to be on growing up? Double Dare. Yeah, Double Dare, Family Double Dare. What Would You Do? Nickelodeon Guts. Definitely Nick Arcade, because it's all video games. But Double Dare, I love trivia, and I like that all the prizes, really. The prizes, like, always wanted to have one of those toy sweepstakes or whatever. The thing where you just go inside. They used to have them. They used to show them all the time on like the game shows where a kid takes a cart and he just goes down each aisle in the toy store and just throws the shit in the cart. He get to keep whatever he got in the cart. And I was just like, man, if I could do that, I would ram Shaq on like video games and Ninja Turtle toys and wrestling men and all that stuff, you know. But yeah, I think looking back, those are the game shows that I wanted to be on as a kid. Feel has been your greatest win so far in life? My greatest win so far in life is me not giving up on the challenges that come with life. I believe that's probably my greatest win, because there was a time where I just I spent every day trying to be so right, trying to be so nice, and I thought that was the way of receiving love, and that isn't, you know. And it was something that I needed to know. I needed to learn that. I needed to learn in a way that I wasn't prepared to learn from, but eventually I figured it out. But I just spent a lot of time in life trying to be perfect, putting on fronts, pretending to be something I wasn't, trying to say what I thought people wanted to hear. Trying to impress people that didn't give a fuck about me, you know, and I just wanted their validation so bad. And then I when I didn't get it, I wanted to die. I did. I wanted to die, and I just didn't want to do this shit no more. It just felt bad. Like, why am I trying to do the right thing and it's not working out for me? So I was trying to love conditionally, you know? I was trying to love life conditionally versus taking life unconditionally and having healthy boundaries. So when I learned how to be, I learned how to love myself. I learned how to separate myself from having to be there for every damn body but myself. I had a rude awakening, you know. It was a spiritual awakening, actually, not just a rude awakening. It was a spiritual awakening. And I was able to see that I don't have to do and be everything to everyone. Not anymore. I don't have to do that. I can just be calm, you know. I can be at peace. I can be at peace with myself. Because that person's upset doesn't mean I have to be upset. I used to believe that. You know, being around people, I used to feel responsible for people's emotions. So because they were upset, I had to be upset too. Whatever it is going on. If it's like a kid in the class and teacher says something fucked up that he felt fucked up to him, man, fuck that teacher, you know, whatever, you know, stupid shit. Or if a girlfriend was, you know, always getting upset about something that happened, I had to try to fix it, try to make her happy. Imagine that, you know, thinking you could make somebody happy. You're gonna die trying to make people happy. I can tell you that right now. Focus on yourself. Focus on the only happiness you can control is yours. everybody else's happiness is subjective. So focus on yours. Let people be exactly who they are and decide where you want them in your life. So the greatest win was just really focusing on oneself, being able to take a step back, not trying to overload the plate. I wanted to take on everything and everyone. I wanted to be super ego. Yeah, I had a super ego. I don't know if it's a super ego. I still got ego, but not super ego like it once was. I just thought that was my job. I had to be whatever anyone wanted me to be. And imagine feeling that way with everybody you meet. Everybody feels a different way. So you don't know who you are. And that's what I was. I didn't realize who the fuck I was. I was trying to be everything to everyone, but I didn't take time to figure out what I wanted. I didn't take time to learn what peace meant to me. And after a while, I stopped trying to do so much, and my brain recalibrated itself, and I realized that I don't have to always be available to someone. I don't have to answer my phone if I don't want to. I don't have to respond to that text message as fast as, I believe I once did. I can take time and be like, you know what, I need some time to breathe. I need to take some time, sit here and meditate and, let your mind kind of relax a little bit. But before, I would just try to be there for everything and everyone except myself. In a relationship, I was very codependent, so attached. I wanted my girlfriend to be responsible for all of my happiness. I thought that was how you were supposed to be. But I believe it's also what I saw, or interpreted rather. We'll say that. That's what I believe a relationship was to be that clingy and not have a life, just focus solely on them. And at one point in time, it might have been beneficial. After a while, once you get older, you both have two separate lives. You have friends, you have people, you had a life before, you guys got together. And I believe that, I would be sometimes I would be the guy that would just disappear. Like you would have friends. You have friends, female friends for that matter, legit female friends. And then you get with a girl and then everybody's gone. And then there's that time when your girl is not available because she's out with her friends. So now you're sitting there like a puppy dog waiting for that phone to ring, waiting for that message to come through and all this other shit. But you have your own life. But that's that codependency, man. And it's all right to be individuals, It's just enjoy a person's company, but don't make them responsible for your happiness. So I think that was it's one of the greatest wins I got when I overcame the challenges. I overcame what I thought was life at one point in time, what I thought was love, what I thought was abandonment, all these different things as just me versus my thoughts. And that's and hearing so much stoicism. It's like the act, it's not the act that bothers you, it's your thought on the act that bothers you. And there's so many things that happen in life. You get to choose whether or not you respond to it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have an opinion. I was having a conversation with my best friend's wife this past weekend, and she was asking me about something. And we, obviously she was joking, but she was just like, "Oh, you gotta have an opinion on it." I was like, "Actually, I don't." I don't have to have an opinion on it. I can just choose not to have an opinion on it. I don't need to allow something into my system. Like, what do you think about what Trump said about this? I don't care. I don't have to care what he says. I don't have to interpret anything that, whatever you've allowed to get to you, I don't have to allow it to get to me, is what I'm saying. And, you got to mind the fucks you give in this life. And that's one way of doing it. I'm choosing to not go down this route. I don't wish to be, have my emotions all rattled over something I have no control over. And that's kind of like what I've learned to do. I've learned to ask myself, do I have any control over this? Does it pertain to me? Do I have, how does this affect my life? If it doesn't affect my life, I'm not paying much attention to it. And and just seeing the difference it makes and so much peace that you have when you no longer try to fit in, when you no longer try to be validated by what's trending. Ask yourself, is it useful to you? And feeling like you're missing out on what? That's the question. What am I missing out on? And when I conquered all that stuff, it was different because it just takes you out of the matrix. The matrix is designed for you to feel like you're not enough. The matrix is designed for you to follow things that are not really that important to your daily life. And once I removed myself from it, it brought so much peace. It brought so much peace, and teaching others to do the same. And it's like, why would they want you to follow this thing? Like this model, even this model for marriage. And it's very interesting, man. It's like you got a bunch of people, and again, we're all still growing. We're all still healing. Don't get me wrong. And we're going to be healing for forever. You're never just going to be fully healed and be like, I want to be in a relationship. I totally understand that. But there is a gang, and this is what I believe. I truly believe that there are a lot of 5-year-olds out there looking to be, traumatized. I believe there's a lot of traumatized 5-year-olds looking to be in marriages with other traumatized 5-year-olds, trying to make a healthy relationship and without healing, starting at least the understanding of healing first. Like, we're getting into relationships with somebody and we're trying to create them into the perfect parent for us instead of reparenting ourselves. And I know I've done that in relationships, so I can imagine what a marriage must be like. Like, let's say you got married young, or you got married, like in your 20s, and trying to live with this person and make them the perfect parent for you, or what have you. I didn't get the point, but it was a lot of that, throwing tantrums, waiting for this person. Like, you're not even in the room with that person anymore. You're in the room with whoever it was that caused you trauma early on. And it's tough to bring yourself back to the present moment. And I believe we're all guilty of that. I believe we're all guilty of having situations where someone triggers us and we're no longer in the room with that person. We're in the room with our abuser. And we're trying to protect ourselves. Our ego comes out, and we feel fear. And there's no room for fear and love, and there's no love in fear. So trying to be kind, trying to calm yourself, trying to rectify your emotions, trying to separate yourself from the scenario itself, detach from it, and then be aware of what you're feeling, and then deciding what to do from there. And it's tough at times, when you feel like you're just in a corner. And I know a lot of us has felt like that cat in a corner, and the alley cat, and somebody tries to pick, you just flare up at them, and it's not personal, it's just protection. So I'm grateful for overcoming a lot of that. I'm grateful for overcoming a lot of that trauma in which I had endured, or believe I endured, interpreted, what have you. My perspective. That's just really all it is. And just being able to see the separation, to separate yourself from your emotions, separate yourself from your feelings, being able to feel your feelings, but separating yourself that I am angry, I am upset, I am happy. No, I feel happiness. I feel happy. I feel angry. I feel like I'm separating myself. I'm aware that I am not my emotions. I'm aware that I'm not my thoughts. I'm aware that I'm not my mistakes. I'm aware that I'm not my accomplishments. I'm aware that I am separate from whatever it is I believe I'm attached to. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you believe you're attached to, you're going to defend. And it's okay. Like, you get to a point where you just accept, and you don't try to defend yourself, in a sense of like letting people be wrong about you, let people be misunderstood, let you be misunderstood, being able to accept the fact that people are hell bent on just misunderstanding you, and it has nothing to do with you. It's all about what they're fighting on the inside. They're projecting their pain, and because nothing I do is anything about you. So what does it matter? You do what you do. Live your life. You're in your own bubble. I don't need to talk about you. I'm dealing with myself. I'm going to work on healing myself. I'm going to just let you have whatever it is that you're going to do. But I mean, that's really like what I consider to be the greatest win for me, was I was able to overcome those obstacles that I was facing, where I felt like I wasn't worthy of life anymore. I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't meant to be here anymore, and all these things that are just clouded by ego. Ego feels like